everyone, and welcome back to the From the Sidelines podcast, episode number 16. Unfortunately, today we are not going to be joined by the wonderful Mr. Scott Allen, but we have got a guest that's in a close second place in contention with him. He's been on here 3 or 4 times before. It's Mr. Yusuf Batoush. How are you doing, Yusuf?
Right, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much. And before we go into anything, it is December 24th, which means it is Christmas Eve today, and tomorrow is Christmas Day. And just want to say Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas to you, Yusuf. I hope you're doing or having a good time over the holidays. But we've got some football to talk about. 2 games. We are going to be talking about Chelsea and Fulham. And I also put out a little poll during the week on the Instagram page. If you haven't followed us, make sure to follow it at From the Sidelines podcast. So we'll start with the Chelsea game. Being Chelsea fans, what did you make of the game, Yusuf?
Oh, I guess West Ham?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't play that well, to be fair. The first half we were very shaky. We were very anxious as well. I think we would have gone down if had been offside. Yeah. And I think we made a couple of mistakes in defence as well. I remember I think Kante slipped and then Haller was through. But yeah, luckily he got tackled in the end and it was a throw-in. Yeah, we didn't play that well.
Yeah, definitely. The scoreline did not reflect the result whatsoever.
Yeah.
The scoreline flatters us big time. As you said, few defensive mistakes. Jorginho was all over the place. Kante slipped.
Yeah, it was poor.
Kante slipped, as you mentioned, and luckily it was Haller that he slipped next to. If that was Jared Bowen or Pablo Fornals, that's a goal. Yeah. So goal scorers, Thiago Silva with a what would normally be called a Zuma Boomer, but it's going to be called a Thiago Silva Boomer, because it was 10th minute header from a corner. It was wow, the power in it was just superb. And then there wasn't a goal for 70 minutes of football. And that's a long time. And within those 70 minutes, West Ham were all over us. And I mean all over us. Tammy Abraham started the game questionably, but then scores 2 goals in 2 minutes. 2 West Ham defensive mistakes. So West Ham put 2 foots wrong in the whole game, and they concede from both of them. The stats of the game, Chelsea had 54% possession to West Ham's 46, which surprised me actually. We had 9 shots, 7 of which were on target, and this is what I think West Ham didn't do very well, is they had 4 shots and none of them were on target. So, but for us, what we need, what I would really like to see is, I know it's going to sound bad as a huge fan of this guy, but we need to drop Timo Werner. We need to drop Timo Werner. What do you think, Yusuf?
Well, I think I would only start if Ziyech and then put Werner in the middle. I don't like him in the wing. He's basically doing a bleep test like for 490.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah. He's running up and down, and when he gets the ball, he loses it straight away. And don't get me wrong,
his touch is horrible. His touch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't the Timo Werner of last season, that's for sure. And as you know, I am a huge Timo Werner fan. Like, I followed the guy at Leipzig. I was over the moon when we signed him from them, and it just hasn't really worked for him this season, has it?
No, it hasn't.
So,
I mean,
yeah, well,
in like the first couple of matches, he was good, to be fair. He scored against Southampton 2 goals, and then after, I think in Burnley he scored a couple of goals. He scored a goal, and then you know what? I think after the Spain-Germany game where they got battered 6-0, I think that was like a turning point for them.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Before that, he was good.
I could be wrong, but
I thought his first game, his Premier League debut for Chelsea against Brighton, he was superb. And I was over the moon when I first saw him play in the Chelsea colours. He was really good in that game. Won a penalty, and was actually genuinely like threatening because he played up front, but
yeah,
on the wing he's just ineffective. So next game is in 2 days' time against Arsenal. What is gonna happen then? Because Arsenal are 15th, haven't won a game in over 50 days. It has got an Arsenal win written all over it. It's such a Chelsea thing to go and lose to a team that are not in very good form, aren't very good, have a rubbish manager, and haven't won a game in ages. It's in our nature. We do it every season. So
yeah.
I obviously I have to back the team. I'm gonna say a 2-0 win for Chelsea. I don't think because Arsenal always show up for these games as we saw last season. In both games they stepped up, and even in the final, look how they battered us in that final. And I can't. I'm gonna say 2-0. Just purely and simply because Arteta's manager at the moment, and he just hasn't changed tactics. He's one of those managers. Maurizio Sarri was very similar, but then he sort of adapted to it. He had one plan A, and if it didn't work, we'll try plan A again. And if that didn't work, we'll try plan A again. He didn't have a plan B, and that's what I think Arteta's struggled with, is that he hasn't had a plan B. So, what do you think? Scoreline. What's your prediction for the scoreline? Sorry, on Saturday.
I think we're going to win 3-0. I'm going to aim a bit higher than your one. Of course, it could be a classic Chelsea thing if we lose the game. I think Arsenal. I think their striker Laming is a fit. I think, I think he's injured currently.
Okay. Who do you think is going to score?
I don't know. Oh, for us? Oh,
yes.
I think Abraham will start.
Abraham will start.
Because I remember last season. Yeah, because last season he played very well against us. In the away fixture.
He scored that. That's probably one of my favourite Chelsea goals.
Yeah.
The limbs was mental.
I'd like Giroud to score as well. Yeah.
I think it's hard. It's a big headache for Frank Lampard, because if it was me, I'd drop Werner. Is Hudson-Odoi fit again?
Yeah, he's fit.
So I'd have Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic on either wing, and it would be a really difficult choice for me, because Abraham, you can't really drop a player who's just scored 2 goals and won you a game against a big London rival in West Ham, who are doing all right this season. But then you've got Olivier Giroud, who just always comes in big on crucial games. He comes big against Spurs, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, Liverpool. He's always there on the big occasion. So it is really difficult to choose between the two. But I think I'd go with Tammy Abraham, and if it doesn't work, bring Giroud off the bench, which would be ideal, really, for me. But my Pulisic's first goal of the season, I'm gonna have. Who else do I want to have? I want to have a Giroud goal off the bench. That's what I'm gonna go for. I'm not sure what you think of that, but that's what I think is gonna happen.
Yeah. I would prefer Werner, but I also have a mental thing, in my opinion, instead of Giroud. But I don't know. He might. I think Lampard might. I think he might sub off what's his name? Werner for Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, maybe.
And then put Werner on the wing again. But because he's pacey, that's why. So when Arsenal's defence, they'll get tired legs and stuff. Maybe the 70th minute or 60th minute.
Maybe.
He can put Werner after.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I think we've got time for to talk about Chelsea, because we've got a very, very crucial game to review here. Uh, Another possible 6-pointer. Um, Fulham 1, Newcastle United 1. Now, if I just have a quick look at the Premier League table, Fulham, I believe, are still in the bottom three. They are still in the bottom three. Okay, I'm going to take that back. It's not a 6-pointer because Newcastle are 8 points ahead of them. What's not going well for Fulham is that they're drawing against teams like Brighton, who they really like. They showcased their skills against Liverpool, Leicester, West Brom, against these teams that, well, other than West Brom, Liverpool and Leicester, you would not expect them to get any sort of result from. But the fact that they beat West Brom was a huge, huge win for them. That was a huge 6-pointer. And as it stands, Fulham are still 3 points ahead of West Brom. However, last week against Brighton, Fulham couldn't capitalise, and as Scott said last week, both teams cancelled each other out because they play very similar football. And I think what Fulham need to do is when they come up against teams like Brighton, like Burnley, Leeds, Palace, Arsenal to an extent, West Brom and Sheffield United again, they need to get some points out of those games, because those are the games that are going to keep them up. Those are the games that are going to get them out of that bottom three. In the game, ended 1-1. Fulham actually didn't have a goal scorer, as their goal came from a Matt Ritchie own goal in the 42nd minute, and then a Callum Wilson pen in the 64th was all that game wrote. I didn't really watch the game, but I've seen the highlights. It was a penalty. It was a cool, calm, collective finish from Wilson, who is doing really well this year after signing for Newcastle from Bournemouth. What do you think about that?
Yeah. He's been good this season, to be fair. It's been good, yeah.
There's not much else you can really say about that. But if we look at the match stats, it's very, very even. The stats do reflect the scoreline. Maybe not a 1-1, but it definitely does deserve to be a draw looking at the stats. Shots, Fulham had 9, Newcastle had 8. Possession was 47-53, so kind of even, but maybe Newcastle are thinking maybe we could have done more of the ball. And shots on target, 4 apiece. So for Fulham, Scott's not going to like this, but I think obviously we all knew they'd be in trouble this year. They're in the position that we all thought they would be. I think they're in a better position than we all thought they would be. I didn't think Sheffield United would be this low. They've got 2 points. I didn't expect Arsenal to be this low. I didn't expect Burnley to be this low. I thought the relegation battle would be West Brom, Fulham, Brighton, Palace, Leeds, Newcastle, these sorts of teams, and maybe even West Ham. But Fulham are in a better position than I thought they were, than what I thought they were going to be. So it is difficult to say where they're going to finish this year. But for Fulham's sake, for Scott's sake, I hope they stay up. So it's a tough one. Fulham play. I'm not sure who Fulham play next. Actually, I should probably have had that written down somewhere. Fulham play Southampton next, which is a massive, massive game. Southampton are undoubtedly one of the dark horses of this season. They are easily favourites for that game. Fulham are big underdogs for that game, but I believe Fulham can pull it off. I think Fulham might nick a 1-0 win. What do you think?
I don't know if they're going to win the game, but anything can happen.
That is true. That is very true.
But I'm probably going to say a win for Southampton.
Yep, fair enough. Can't really complain at that. I just think, for me, I think Fulham are looking really strong recently. Their last 2 games have been tough. Against a very organised Brighton side and a very organised Newcastle side. Brighton not performing as well, so maybe Fulham are thinking, damn, we probably should have got more than just 1 point. We should probably got a full 3 points. But for Fulham, like I said, for Fulham's sake, I hope they stay up. So now it comes to a point where, as this episode is going to be a much shorter episode than usual, as it's the holidays, there's not much to talk about. Obviously, as we go into the new year, there's going to be a lot more to talk about, so these episodes will get a little bit longer. I thought I took it upon myself on the Instagram page to put up a little poll, including a Fulham and a Leeds player. So the question was, which one of these players would you rather have in your starting 11? And the 2 players were Mitrovic and Rodrigo. Before I tell you what the percentages was, I'm going to ask you, Yusuf, what do you think they were? Who do you think got the majority?
Sorry, what?
Who do you think out of Mitrovic and Rodrigo got the majority of the vote?
I think Rodrigo.
And that would be a fair assumption. That would be a very fair assumption.
Yeah.
He's, as we know, we're both FIFA players. He is a top dog on that game. Very top dog. Scores a lot of goals. Annoys me a lot when I play against him, but when I play with him, I play him in the midfield, so he is a really, really top dog for me. Mitrovic, I've never used on FIFA, so I can't say much, but on FIFA, he's probably only got like 50 pace to Rodrigo's 91 pace, so I choose Rodrigo. But shockingly, Mitrovic got 51% of the vote to Rodrigo's 49%, so very, very tight. Who did you vote for? Did you vote on this one?
Yeah, I think I voted on Rodrigo.
Yep, fair enough. But clearly the Fulham fans coming through with this. Speaking of FIFA, obviously everyone that listens to this listens in to hear our reviews on the Chelsea and Fulham games. Before we did the Chelsea and Fulham games, it was all of the Premier League games, but now just because we can't get enough in for all the Premier League games, we do the Chelsea and the Fulham games, being myself being a Chelsea fan as your host, and Scott being a Fulham fan as the co-host, and sometimes, like you, Yusuf, we get different fans on.
Yeah.
I want to add a segment into this podcast where every week for fantasy football, I'm sure there's lots of you play it, me and Yusuf play it, we look at each game week that goes by, and we look at a player, we recommend a player to you guys that you should sign, or you should at least put into your team for fantasy football. So, Yusuf, I'll let you go first. Who do you think would be a very good player to have in your fantasy football team for the rest of the season?
Vardy, to be honest, because I haven't captained for the last game week. He got 24 points for me, because obviously his penalty against Spurs.
Didn't he get an assist as well?
No, there's an own goal from
Oh yeah. Silly me. Yeah, I have Vardy in my team. I'm just looking at my team now. He did get the assist. I guess he was the last person to touch the ball before that happened. So yeah, Vardy, very, very good choice. For me, I've had him in my team all season. I've had him in my team. He's got me a lot of points this season. He's been decent for me, and that's Jack Grealish. He gets a lot of points, and he scores a lot of goals, gets a lot of assists, wins a lot of fouls. Unfortunately, he's not Villa's penalty taker. Anwar El Ghazi's their penalty taker. So unfortunately, when Villa get a penalty, I don't get any extra points because I don't see why I should have El Ghazi in, because he doesn't really contribute much to their team anyway, other than the penalties. No offense to any Villa fans out there, but and a dark horse player I would like to add is James Ward-Prowse, just because he is a star when it comes to set pieces. From the dead ball, he is superb. There's no one better than him in the league. I'm sorry, I'm saying it now. He scores penalties. He gets assists from free kicks, assists from corners. He's just an all-round don on fantasy football. Some weeks he'll only get you 2 or 3 points, but most of the time he gets you at least 5 or more. So, but unfortunately, guys, that's the end of the episode. It's only 21 minutes long. I don't know what else to add into this one, but that's gonna be it for today. Strange one, yes, I know, but 2020's been strange, you know. So, Yusuf, thank you for being here for this very short edition of the From the Sidelines podcast. I'm sure we'll be having you very soon once again. And for the new year, just a little spoiler, I'm going to try and get a big podcast arranged with more than 3 people, maybe 4 or 5. I know a lot of people have told me not to do that and just keep it structured, keep it compact, keep it organized, but I want to do something for you guys. We're going to have a full-on debate. We won't review the game week that week, but we're going to have a full-on debate. I won't tell you what about. Yusuf, I'm sure you'll be there. But yeah, just a little spoiler. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Yusuf, for being here once again.
That's alright, mate.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. See you later.